Hello, it's me. So let's start by having a look at what's happening across the world on this Monday morning. So we've got Trump's biggest attack on Iran. It's happening again, apparently. The events that caused World War II are happening now. They're in motion again, and nobody believed it the last time. Ed Miliband is breaking ranks with Andy Burnham as the UK burns, and LBC states boldly that Nigel Farage has humiliated himself. What, again? Andrew Neil apparently is going on about how Washington is panicking over AI. Trump declares a national emergency, but I think that actually happened over a week ago now. Or is it another new national emergency? There's the story about the alleged plagiarist and Walter Mitty character Jason Arde deciding to end his life, which is a tragedy, regardless of the reasons why he did it. There are more Russian and Ukraine strikes. And back here in the UK, amongst all the other nonsense that's happening globally, milk in the UK apparently is having palm oil added to it. Why? Could it be for the same reasons that folic acid is being introduced to bread flour here in the UK also? Allied to that are the ongoing threat of 15-minute cities, 20-mile-an-hour speed limits, continued visits by the police to individuals who said nasty things online, and a government in power which, as every day goes by, looks more and more like it's working for somebody else, and not the British people. Everywhere you look in the UK, it appears as though the normal person, the working class people here, and everybody else, unless you're really, really wealthy, are under attack. Under attack by the very institutions that are supposed to serve us. One can only guess in the first instance in the name of cost effectiveness. So whether it's folic acid, palm oil milk, injected beef, or fake honey, and God only knows what else on the shelves isn't at all what it's labelled as, it turns out you can't even go to the supermarket and buy what it is you're actually wanting to buy, because there's so much of something else in there. And added to that now, they're making us pay through the nose for it. So what I like to do on this channel is I like to take a look at everything, from the top of the pile to the bottom of the pile. And more importantly, when and where I can, how much goes on behind the scenes, the various mechanisms that go up to make the decisions that influence us as we go about our daily business here in the UK. And the more you look, the more you understand that something isn't right. We have a series of institutions that govern us and the economic welfare of the planet. Banks and the stock market, etc. Now, we already know that banks are very shady entities when taken in the round. And increasingly the stock market seems exactly the same. Oh, but it's the stock market. It does its own thing. Well, you'll forgive me for saying so. But we've all heard of insider trading. And now there are private interests that are so powerful and wealthy. And there are also individuals who have a great deal of individual power, who, with a single statement, can affect the direction of the stock market. And you could reasonably say to me, Mark, that's just the stock market working. Right. So when people take advantage of their knowledge and they influence the market by buying and selling, trading up and trading down, etc., that's the stock market working. And when people have insider knowledge and bet against their own team in sports, that's all they're doing. They're taking advantage of knowledge that they have. They're taking advantage of the fact that they can influence an outcome, just like insider traders. And of course, that's just sports working. That's not fraud. That's not potentially a crime. It's just normal. No, the stock market is too big a tool to leave to its own devices. And it's the same for governments. If I were to say to you that the power behind government thrones across the globe is a shadowy cabal of political influences, then you would rightly say, tinfoil hat time. No, just... But if I was to say to you that the power behind governmental thrones across the globe was a series of private interest groups that are so wealthy and powerful and that they move constantly and easily within the elite power circles of tycoons, presidents and royalty, then you would regard that as a more reasonable approach. Less conspiratorial, in fact. And if that latter statement is more to your taste, then buckle up. Because the real power, the real movers and shakers of the planet are, in fact, tycoons. The CEO, millionaire, billionaire class meets up a couple of times a year to discuss the direction of the planet. Think about that. A few individuals, or maybe even a few hundred individuals, are so powerful on the planet now. They've managed to garner wealth so effectively that they can discuss the direction of the planet. And make no mistake, when they're talking about discussing the direction of the planet, they're discussing the direction that you and I should go in. At this point, they're moving around entire global populations like pieces on a chessboard. The evidence is all around us. But life is tough by design, and we have bigger fish to fry right on our own doorsteps. Paying for utility bills and groceries, etc., not to mention all the problems that we can have with family members and work commitments, and let's face it, just trying to be an upstanding citizen, then in no time at all you find yourself far too busy to think about anything else. And so the millionaire, billionaire class, the tycoons, the CEOs, the royalty, the presidents, etc., etc., are all talking to each other. And they're not telling us they're doing so. Oh, they're not hiding it so much. But it's not really being reported. And when it is reported, it's done in very philanthropic terms. They're telling us a story that they want us to hear. The moving and shaking of the planet in its direction is happening all around us. Look at all the protests. The farming communities around the world are under massive attack. And societal dissatisfaction at this point must be at an all-time high, surely. The old adage, power corrupts, blah, 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 has never been more true than it is now. I think it's important for us to understand that we're living in a bit of a matrix. The theatre of democracy exists only to stop open rebellion by the great unwashed masses. Distrust of these large institutions and individuals is at an all-time high. And the last thing they need as they're trying to implement their Machiavellian plans bit by bit upon an unsuspecting global populace is mass revolt. Because that puts the brakes on. That means that it's another 10 years before they can turn things around.
And that's a great inconvenience.
And so whether it's fake honey, palm oil milk, injected beef, or folic acid, or whether it's Ed Miliband breaking ranks with Andy Burnham, one thing is becoming desperately apparent. It's not just the UK that's burning. Do let me know what you think in the comments below. Do like, subscribe and share. It really would help the channel. And until next time, do look after yourselves.